What is going on, everybody? So we are up a little earlier today because it is time for part two of my favorite moments from high school. So this is going to be senior year. Um, Obviously, I can't cover it all. There's great moments that I couldn't put in here because the video video can't be an hour. Nobody's going to watch. Um, but they were really good times. And I've decided just to cover the ones that stuck out to me most. Before I get into it, I want to make a correction to my last video. So basically, while macro class, everything I said in there was true, there was a couple omissions I had. First of all, that macro class was when a famous man, I'm not going to say names here, but he may be going to the Naval Academy. He may have been given the strongest student senior superlative, but I'm not going to say names here because we don't say names. Um, Gave me the nickname Microphone, and that one probably stuck for like 8 months, right? And I never really got what it meant. Eventually, people told me it's like I look like one, but uh, yeah. And then on top of that, we have a little story from that class. So I talked about how I sat next to Kernish in there, right? So there was another fellow in that class. Once again, no names, but his name, or we're just gonna call him Avalanche, okay? And I don't know what happened. This might have been like Chippewa Middle School Science Olympiad or something, but there was a little one-sided, not hate, but like one-sided annoyance from one of these individuals. And you know, in macro, there was this thing where at for urban plan, because that was like an end of semester project we did. You could put on there, you could put like people you don't want to be with. They didn't give you an option to people you want to be with, but it gave you an option to put people you don't want to be with. And on there, uh, you know, I'll just say it, Kernish was like, if I'm being real, man, I'm looking around here. Avalanche is the only one, and I was like, Avalanche is my guy. So I was obviously, I obviously was like, whoa, but I thought it was funny, but like fast forward like one day, like after he says that, and we get something called our Fed essays back. So Fed essays is like some essay you have to write about like economic policy, it was immigration policy, I believe, that year. And even though Karish isn't like an academic try hard or sweat, I remember he like grinded really hard on that Fed essay, and he got 40 out of 40. And a specific individual, maybe by the initials of JL, um, shouted out, "How did Karish get a 40 after that?" And that was just funny, man. That was just funny. So that was one thing I forgot to mention in the first part. But without further ado, let's get into senior year. Right, was a really fun time, honestly. Definitely, I'd have to say my favorite year of high school. I met like more new people than ever, created more memories than ever. And yeah, we're just gonna get right into it. So probably the first thing, I'm looking at this list that I have. Usually I don't come into these videos with anything prepared, but this one, like, it feels like I have to. I did not order this list. It's just like 10 moments from this year. But the first thing that stands out to me is that the video Day in the Life 2. Now, to this day, I don't like to rank my favorite videos, and I don't even like to watch my own videos because when I watch, I cringe at my own voice. That's why when Mr. Ober was playing my videos in government, which is probably one of my favorite moments that's not on this list, but when he was playing my videos in government, I couldn't go there and watch it, man, because I'm like, dude, I can't listen to myself, you know. But definitely one of, if not my favorite video we ever made on this channel is because I definitely have to give a huge shout out to Chris Yan, best editor on YouTube, best editor on the planet. But that Day in the Life 2 was probably like my favorite video. Like the like just watching it back, because this is one of the few videos I've watched back. I'm like, man, this was so cool. Like, this is actually good memories, right? And yeah, if you haven't rewatched it in a while, you should go back and check it out. I think it's a good video, but it really covered, like, it legitimately covered everything I did during a school day. I was confronting people on camera. I was, watching other men touch other men's thighs. Nothing wrong with that, but it was elite, right? And specifically on here, the one class I have that I wouldn't say this was my favorite class of semester one, but the one class that the day in the life too like really made like it was like golden was when in physics class. And once again, this physics class, to be honest, I didn't have a ton of friends in it. But a lot of time what I realized, man, is when you don't have a ton of friends in your class, it can still be really fun. And specifically, there was an individual, by the initials of LJ. Screw it, I'm going to say his name, Logan Jarvie, right? Anytime you have a class with this dude, it's going to probably be entertaining, and I'm recording for Day in the Life, right? And this dude goes on a rant about how he doesn't brush his teeth, and like everyone's roasting him, everyone's flaming him, right? And he's just like, my teeth are perfectly white. He's like, I drink water. There's fluoride in the water, And then he goes on about how to talks about how he doesn't eat his own ass with his teeth. It was just beautiful, right? And the whole Day in the Life too was really fun. Starting from the morning, which is another part of my favorite moments, was when this was a time when Mr. Galvin was not off one. So the gym was open basically every morning. So we'd go over there, we'd screw around, and I go over there and sky people, right? That was definitely like one of the best times of the year. So I was able to get that in the video. And then even thinking back, like, although first semester, I literally had 6 classes, 4 of them were AP. One of them was CIS writing, which I would argue was like probably the most work I've ever done in a class. And the other one was Spanish 5. But I probably had like a top 3 hardest schedule at Mountain View, maybe even top 1 for seniors. But even looking back, man, I like it was really fun. All the classes were fun. There's certain stories I can't even tell in this video, specifically in government, maybe. There's just certain tales that can't be retold, but it was definitely a great time. And speaking of that Frisbee in the morning, probably one of the best times for me this fall semester, and I'm sorry to my guy watching this video, but I have to mention it, was when it was me versus Liam 1v1 in the gym, and I won 7-6 on the final catch. The final catch was a beautiful catch, Sorry, guys. I'm struggling with a bit of runny nose here, and I don't have a tissue nearby, so you're just gonna have to, settle with it. But this, it was like a storyline, bro. Like there was so much pressure on me going into this, and like the whole week before, I'd been getting mass hate, man. There were so many people in my Instagram DMs. Like I said, like randoms I didn't even know. They were coming up to me in the hallway. People were, slobbing Austin Jin's wiener. It was crazy, bro. Or actually, they were doing the opposite because like I lost bad to Austin Jin, but like people don't like with respect. People don't realize that probably anyone would have got 7-0'd by him. With due respect, right? So like it was tough though. I'd been getting a lot of hate, and I just had to suck it up and wait until 18 hours for me to bounce back. And was a closely contested, but like it was just hilarious, man. After I win, unfortunately, shout out to Edward Liu for recording, but he completely sold the bag on the film, because after I won, we had a crazy celebration. Basically, I just took my shirt off and took a whole lap across the whole gym. And then on the flip side, this dude Liam, he started doing pull-ups on the rib, bro. He was like hating upside down on the rib. And I never got to see it, but we literally had a crowd of 30 people watching. Everyone who was there, especially those who just walked in, were like, who just won, right? We got one dude who's shirtless running around the gym. We got one dude who's doing pull-ups on the rib. Who won, right? And apparently it was like it's the funniest thing ever. But definitely that was a good moment for me, because I think going into that, a lot of people were doubting me and whatnot, and we managed to prove them wrong. So that was definitely one of them. And then I have another Frisbee memory from fall here. I thought it was a big part of my year, so I don't want to constantly talk about it, but figured I'd include one fall game and one spring game. The fall game that was definitely the best in totality. Not sucking myself off, because if it was up to my individual performance, it'd definitely be the game I skied that one girl. And I'm not going to say what I was about to say, but go ahead, check it out. Story time. I know how to tie my shoes. This one's back in October or September. This stupid runny nose. But The one I wanted to talk about from fall was our Adida tournament game against Minnetonka. Now this, we only had like 17 people there. There's like 60 people who play fall, but there was like 17 people there, maybe even 16. And I remember our first game in the tournament, we played Adida, so we got slapped because, especially because we didn't have a lot of our best players there. And our second game, we played a school I don't even remember, but they were pretty bad, with due respect, and we ended up winning, right? So the third game, we go up against Minnetonka, which is like a team that we were pretty evenly matched with given the fall circumstances. And this game was crazy because, like, I know everyone talks about how Ultimate is a spirit of the game sport, and some people like to follow that to a T. Shout out Emmanuel Pratt. Shout out. He's the main one that sticks out. But like, there's a lot of people who are just gonna really spirited, right? But there's other people who tend to be a little bit more competitive, like myself. So it was definitely a game that was like back and forth. I think at some point we went down like 6-4, and there was like a lot of sussy wussy behavior going on from Minnetonka. I'm not gonna lie, like they were making a lot of calls. Like they call a lot of travels, which I know in basketball that's a big call, but like in general in Ultimate, there's not, from my experience at least, there's not a lot of travels. They were calling a lot of fouls. Like they were doing everything. Specifically, I remember there was one play in the end zone where Eli, shout out to him, he doesn't watch my videos, but we'll talk about him later in this video too. But Eli made like a crazy bid or dive. We were on defense to knock it away in the end zone, and they called a foul. And one of my biggest gripes with Ultimate Frisbee, obviously I still plan on playing in the future. Like it's still a great sport to me. But one of my biggest gripes with it, and this is what a lot of spectators like, I think legitimately some of them, this is what keeps them from joining Ultimate, is that when like there's not a lot you can do to prevent bullshit foul calls. Like if somebody calls a foul, there's the only thing you can do if they like want to stand on it, even if it's bullshit, is you can contest it. And if it contests it, it goes back to where the disc was. So there they threw it. Eli knocked it away, making an incompletion. And he obviously contests as the foul call on him. But it's not like it's our possession. It just goes back to the person who threw it. So basically they get a second down. That was basically what happened. So like in theory, you could call infinite fouls, right? Like obviously you really can't get away with doing that. So like I don't want to give people the wrong idea. But that was, after that happened, like it was definitely a clean play. I was heating my mind off on the sideline. But ultimately the game ended up going to 8-8. And it was crazy. Like we had like half our team was injured. I remember Caleb Hamilton, shout out to him. He's definitely watching. Shoot, I'm getting a call from Joseph Hahn right now. I need to tell him I'm filming a video. We had Caleb Hamilton. His legs were literally burning out. We had Austin Jid, who I remember one play. Joseph's calling me again. Sorry. I remember one play. He literally had to be subbed out for the game. I ended up going in because I think it was a cramp, but or it was like an actual serious injury. But he looked like he was died out there. Our whole team was gassed. That's the third game in a tournament. We didn't have a ton of people, and as much as Tyler says, equal playing time in fall, I remember that last point we were 8-8. And he had to stack the lines. We had Wyatt out there. We had our best guys, Caleb Whitney, and I have the video on the channel from the point we won. And that was probably the most hyped Ultimate game I've ever played in because we ended up winning. I felt like most of the close wins we had spring, besides the Andover game, which isn't going to be the Andover game was really good, but most of the other close games we had this spring, it was like we went up 3 or 4, and then we lost 3 points in a row, and then we had to close it out again. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I talked about that game for really long, but definitely probably one of my most fun experiences of fall. Like, nothing against Minnetonka, but I felt like during that game they were being really sussy-wussy, and some of their players I felt like were being straight up toxic, and I was getting very heated on the sideline because I'm the ultimate competitor. But we ended up winning, and that was a good feeling. Posted on YouTube, posted on Instagram, everywhere. And then my final thing, kind of from first semester, would be Spanish class, and this is kind of interesting, right? So obviously, the Menace Society died, sadly. And I never really, got into why. I mean, I didn't really, have the time. And also, I'm not trying to throw other people under the bus. But we never talked about the formation of it. So this is how life works crazy to me, right? The way it formed was that um I was sitting in Spanish, and I don't have the draw. I can't draw it out right now, but I sat like in the back on a squiggly chair, or not really. It was like one of those things that turns. And ahead of me to the left was like Austin Jin. To the middle was Sophie Bolus. To the right was an empty seat. So, or no, was to in front of me was an empty seat, right? So I'm gonna be honest. A lot of people love the squiggly chairs, but I wasn't rocking with it because I have like a humongous gaming Chromebook, right? At that time, I was bringing it to school. That was before Daniel Lay broke it, so it didn't really fit. The desk didn't really fit my Chromebook, so I was like, you know what, whatever. I'm just gonna move ahead and I'll sit next to Sophie Bolus, right? And I had never talked to her before, but she's an entertaining person. I knew that, and I remember like the first day I was sitting next to her, she was like, "Hey, can you take a picture of this snap for me?" Right? And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I took a picture of it on my phone because if she takes a picture of it on her phone, it shows that she screenshotted it, right? So I take a picture of it on my phone. She's like, okay, you send that to me, right? So I sent it to her. And turns out that was her ex boyfriend cheating on her in July or something. Maybe I should be revealing this on a YouTube video. I'm sorry. She doesn't watch these, so she'll never know. But like that summarized it. Basically, what I came to realize was that was like when the Menace trio, or no, Menace Society formed. And what I came to realize is like, man, small decisions in your life make a big difference. Like if I just would have sat back there in the squiggly chair, bro, the Menace Society would have never been a thing, right? So that happened, right? And then I remember specifically one day during Reflect, it was me, her, and then a bunch of other people pulled up, but specifically an individual I had mentioned in part one, Damian Deniz, he came over, and you know how he is. Like him and Sophie just start like telling stories, bro. Sophie's talking about how one time in Mexico she was like some dude was hitting her over like the edge of a building. Like Damian's always talking about like how he like was doing sketchy stuff, but it was definitely one of the most funny reflects ever. I remember that reflect was right after Liam got injured in the back, and he had to come over on a hobbled ankle to join the combos. I think Josh Lane was there. It was wild times. It was good times. And now we're gonna get into kind of semester two stuff, or actually no. On here I have another one of my best memories is reacting to Ronan Schaefer's music. So uh, unfortunately, I had to edit the titles a little bit because I don't want UW Stout rescinding Ronan's, enrollment of admission, of course. But their videos were not only hilarious, bro, but like this was also low key. You know, I love to suck myself off, but like I have to give credit where it's due. Like this is low key after reacting to their videos. This was low key where my YouTube channel like kind of blew up. I had probably like I look back, I had 39 subscribers going into the year, and like after I posted those videos, it went up to like 90. So huge shout out to them. Great videos, really funny. And that whole group of people, Ronan, Elijah, Lucas. I never talked to them really before this year, but they're all really cool. And you need more entertainers like them, and young music producers. So go check out those videos if you haven't. Go check out their rap. They're very talented in that industry, and you won't regret watching them. So yeah, uh, and then in here, I have Frisbee Friday too. This is something I couldn't mention. So this is kind of a mix between junior year and senior year. But I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, over the last 12 months or last 1 year, right? I don't know if anybody in the world has had more visits to Cummings Park than me. Like with due respect, like I hate to say it, but I was there like every single time. Top five grinder for sure. And it was really fun, of course. But probably some of my memories that stand out is, I would have to say my skies over the two sides. Isaac Sai, obviously me and him have a big rivalry. Going back to the You Got Toasted. Also, this kid even during the state tournament this weekend is flaming me for not wanting to go in the porter pot. The porter potty, all kinds of things, right? Which nobody's trying to use the porter potty. Let's be real, right? The bushes is more valid. So he was flaming me for that, but definitely a couple Sundays ago, getting back at him on the field was a good feeling. Shout out to Vincent Meyer as well. And then probably like my best play ever, obviously during a casual game, but was like last Sunday. I think the one before the state tournament when I domed Ian Side. Like a lot of times when I say sky and dome, like I have to be real, especially in the fall. I think I've gotten better at this, but it was mostly just me, backing my ass into people, boxing people out. But like over time, like I tweeted, bro, they sleep on my vert. Like, I could get in airspace a little bit, and against Ian Sai, like I felt like it was a play. I didn't get to see on the cameras, unfortunately, but like the one that Sarvesh had against Apple Valley, it felt like that, man. I jumped up and over him, so that was a spectacular feeling, right? And then next up, I have what do I want to go to next? Um, so shout out to Ian Sai anyway, but it especially felt good because he's an ultimate captain, definitely one of the best players. Potentially will be at the UCLA A team, right? And it always feels good to do it against the best. Obviously it would have felt even better to do it against Austin Jim, but you know, I only got him once ever. That one was on camera though, so um, yeah. Okay, next up we have the Mounds U Irondale basketball game. So shout out to Kobe Kirk if he's watching this. But anyway, this I was never a person to go to Mounds U sports games. Like I'll say it right now, and maybe this was one of my mistakes. I did not go to a single football game throughout all of high school. I didn't go to a baseball game. I haven't gone to a volleyball game yet. This might change this next weekend. But um, the basketball was something I had to end up going to. It was a section quarter, finals, or no, it was getting into the bracket point. Irondale was a 4 seed, I believe. Mounds U was a 5 seed, or maybe it was reversed. Mounds U might have been 4, Irondale might have been 5. But going to this game, like there was a lot of hype. A lot of people were talking about it. I was like, I have to go out there and watch. I have to go check this out, right? So it going into the game, I was talking to Kobe, and he's like, I have a leg injury. People were saying that Dylan was sick, and they're obviously considered the two best players in Mounds U. And then, watching it was just super hype. It was a super fun experience. It made me regret not going to these games earlier. And shout out to Ben Erickson, man, because, he's a team captain and he was like a role player, but I remember he dropped he was the second leading scorer on Mounds U that game. It was super hype and definitely one of my best memories from the year. Okay. And then after that, I have the physics and Madison FAR scale. So I've talked about physics semester one a little bit, but physics semester two was the opposite. Like I had loads of friends in this class. Like semester one, I didn't have a ton. Semester two, just friend after friend, right? So it also made it really fun. We were sad that, we just chilled. And I've told a story time about it already, so I won't get into it too deep, but definitely the FAR scale definitely was a top 10 moment from the year. And in general, that class was really fun. Besides Daniel Lay breaking my Chromebook, I had a lot of fun there, and we did, we got to screw around. But yeah, and shout out to not only those dudes, but shout out to Riley and Julia if they're watching this. Got to hear a lot of interesting intel from them, and they're funny people. So the fart scandal there was great. And then also the Madison bus fart scandal. So the Madison Ultimate Tournament, fantastic experience, right? Outside of COVID, outside of my roommate getting COVID, it was a funny time. But one of the things that, stood out to me was on the bus ride back. And I've never told the story, but basically you had a fart scandal again because it smelled like crap in there. Someone kept farting, bro. and we didn't know who it was. And I was out of it this time because it was like the set was ending. You know, I was sitting near the back of the bus. The set was ending as it got closer to me, right? Uh, and everyone thought it was Ryan Bauer, but all I can say is that Mackenzie was she was in the area, the culprit area while the farts were going off, and then she moved back to the back and it stopped. So probably was her if we're being real. Okay, got a couple ones left. The second to last one is gonna be the ultimate game against Southwest. So this was definitely in a sense a tough experience for me because we played 32 points. And this was the only game of the whole season I did not play in, right? 32 points and just walking around like my legs were kind of tired because I think when you're just standing around for that long, it's obviously gonna feel sore. But like this was the only game of the whole season I did not play in, and despite that, I have to accept the fact that it probably was one of the most exciting games. It was really fun to watch. It was a back and forth game. Obviously, me sitting here after losing and not playing, it's hard for me to put it here because it's like, dang, we should have had it, right? We really should have had it. But at the same time, like a lot of our guys went crazy. It was the game where I probably watched the best ultimate play I've ever seen. Pictures on my Instagram where Austin skies that one kid. But really, overall, it was a super hype game, super back and forth, and you just have to learn to be a good teammate. No matter what happens with you individually, you just get hype every time something happens, and it was a lot of fun looking back, and I would have to agree with the coach. It was probably ultimately one of our best games of the season, at least offensively for sure. And then my final story on here, and this one I was very specific with how I wanted to do it because I could have made a story time about this, but if I made a story time about this, I know specific people would have watched that wouldn't have watched this video, and it is kind of related to drama. But first of all, let me just say that it's about the last 2 days of school, and the last 2 days of school were really, really fun. Like, this was kind of the way I wanted to end, my high school and move on in life. I got to have a lot of fun. I got to spend time with, the people that really, were my, friends and we had a great time with over the last, few years. And like I was at a weekend ensuing like the ultimate weekend. One of the things I was thinking about was like, I really missed all the non-seniors because all of those dudes I knew because of ultimate, maybe outside of Mateo, but like Vincent, Kyle, Wyatt, Eli, Thomas, and Isaac. Like I was like, I wasn't that sad when I was saying goodbye to other seniors because like these are all my friends outside of Ultimate. I'm gonna see them again at some point. But like the non-seniors, that was when I felt really sad because like those dudes they're my friends because of Ultimate and I'm gonna miss them. But like the last 2 days of school, like it was a lot of fun. I specifically remember the last day of school. It was in fifth hour and Joseph and Julia skipped calc. Hopefully Miss Higgy's not watching this, but they skipped calc to come over, and it was just a good time. Me, Liam, and Vincent, and some of the boys were talking to them, and we covered a lot, But like the final 2 days of school, honestly, were kind of perfect the way I drew it up. But the story I'm going to tell, and once again, like I didn't make the story a specific video because I knew it probably would have gone crazy and would have gone all people would have lost their crap or something. But the specific story I'm going to tell is the last hour of high school ever. So the bell just rang for sixth hour. So I always go outside during sixth hour now. So I am walking towards the Mac bathroom. Now, let me give a little preface. The day before, it's Thursday, right? Yeah, Thursday, sixth hour. Me and the boys are playing Ultimate outside. It's like around 3. So we decide to leave. And as we're leaving, we walk past a group. Now, this group has like posted on Instagram a lot together recently, might involve like Johnny U and, might involve people like with the initials JP and BV and BLS and whatnot. I'm going to stop there before I go any further. And as we're leaving, I hear one of them say, potentially my biggest op, they /dub/she/he goes, uh, goes, they probably felt our presence. And I just turn around, look at the boys. I'm like, bro, why did they say that? They slash, once again, they, he, she. I'm just going to use they because, that will simplify. But like, I'm like, why did they say that? And I just walk away. I'm like, bro, come on, no, we did not feel your presence. We left because it's 3 p.m. and we're trying to beat the traffic, uh, so that happens, right? That was not really on my mind. But the next day, I'm walking towards the Mac bathroom, and it's me and Liam, right? Because we're about to take a group piss, and we cross, both of our biggest op, right? And they are walking with a sophomore who like mostly hangs out with seniors, right? So we walk by them, and like I'm trying to avoid eye contact, all kind of things. As soon as I pass them, right? So we're walking kind of like past the weight room. I turn around. I'm not gonna lie, it was a moment of impulse. It was maybe something I shouldn't have done, but I turned around and I flipped them off, right? Because it just felt like the way to end high school. It just felt like the proper way. It was the last hour of high school. It just felt like the right thing to do, man. This was not an isolated, like, over high school. One of the things I have to say, like, people could say whatever they want about me, but overall, I got along with 98% of people, 99% of people, and hopefully that feeling is mutual. But like, if I be completely honest, for me to not like you, it has to be concrete stuff. It has to be personal stuff. It has to be you did, repeated behaviors of doing things wrong to me. If I'm gonna be real, and that was the case, right? So I turn around, and flip the dumb off, they slash, whatever. And to the left of me, Leah, he's laughing his ass, laughing his butt off, right? And then as I do that, that person turns around and looks at me. So I get caught in 8K. So I just walk away. I'm laughing my balls off, right? Because it was like, I was like, that really just happened, right? That was the way high school ended, flipped off my biggest op. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But it was just like, these are the things you talk about was the last year of school. You're like, yeah, the people I can't, honestly, there's no hatred from my end. So I say this as a figure of speech, like the people that you can't stand, you're like, you just like, that's the end, that's the part I won't miss about Mountain View. Anyway, long video, shout out long, right? But humongously long video. I hope y'all enjoyed watching. And I think this is a good video, but I understand that some of you might not like it. But hey, leave a like and comment if you enjoyed. And until next time, peace.